Yeah. All right, and we are live. Whoa. Okay. I hear beeps. Cool. So welcome everybody. I haven't yet tweeted out the links because I'm a bit of a scrub, but anyway, moving along. But yeah, welcome everybody.
Get on with it then.
Yeah. Shut up. But yeah, everybody, we're going to go through. We're going to cover the news yet again for the day. I am once again joined by Satellite. Say hello.
Hey. Hello, everyone.
I found out what that buzzing noise was. It was a pop-up. Go away. Leave me alone. Will you... Alright, I think that is... Yep, that's totally mixed it all up. Congratulations. Well done. Yeah, how are you, buddy? What's new?
Hectic morning, but I got here.
Yes.
And yeah, it was a bit of a thing, but yeah, we're not too late. Hopefully, that's all good.
No, and to be honest, I sat around playing Star Citizen while I was waiting for you, so yeah, no problems. But okay, so
fun playing Star Citizen.
Yeah, the thing was though, I went through and fucking stuffed up the recording. So the whole point of doing it was so that I can record it and upload it to the gaming channel because I'm trying to wear three hats at once. And apparently, yeah, it didn't work at all. I recorded about half of the screen, so yeah, neat trick. All right, so guys, we obviously. Sorry, keep going. Yep.
I found a incredible extra performance for streaming that I can show you at the end.
Okay, cool. Yep. Alright, we'll talk about that off stream. Alright, guys, so we have a lot of stuff to talk about, and Satellite decided to add one more, which is actually really important. So thank God he actually did do that. But yeah, let's go through. We'll break it all down and start jumping into it. So the first thing we'll talk about is outrage as a video shows a Virginia abortion bill sponsor saying plan would allow termination up until birth. But then the Virginia Dems have gone through and updated this. We also have an update on the 16th month investigation into, obviously, the Vegas shooting, which was Satellite's story that he actually made me aware of, so I didn't even know about this before that. We also have Xbox One down, live stream serving not working with users, reporting blank screens. We have Tlaib lied about residency to run for office. We have the Empire star Jussie Smollett assaulted in Chicago, and we have a bit of an update on that situation, which people are just not going to be shocked about. But let's get into that after. I won't spoil that. Tucker dedicates segment to walls around the homes of Trump's biggest critics, which is kind of funny. South Dakota lawmakers, the Second Amendment is your carry permit. Old photos of soot-covered coal miners is now racist, apparently. Brussels orders Britain to pay $39 billion, despite not having an exit strategy. Nellie O'Hara researched Trump's kids for Fusion GP. Dems won't strike, so help you God from House. It's a bit of an update to the story we covered yesterday. And Ariana Grande gets a tattoo and doesn't know how to speak Japanese, but she gets a tattoo of Japanese. But I have a possible theory on this, so we'll do with that one last, maybe. All right, let's jump into it, and let's get this off because otherwise we're going to be here all freaking day. Outrageous video shows Virginia abortion bill sponsors saying plan would allow termination up until birth. So this is obviously similar to the New York bill that they're trying to pass. The abortion debate erupted anew this week after a video surfacing showing the Democrat sponsor for Virginia abortion proposal acknowledging it could allow women to terminate a pregnancy up until the moment before birth for reasons including mental health. First New York and now proposed Virginia bill that would allow legalization abortion up until the moment of birth, tweeted Kentucky Republican Governor Matt Bevin. This is so sad commentary on a culture of death that continues to creep insidiously into the laws of our country. Okay. I've been looking into this whole New York abortion thing, and I think it was Steven Crowder that was actually talking about it yesterday. There was actually quite a few things that the Democrats don't want to tell people about. For example, were these abortion clinics, right? Do you know it's pretty much so easy just to walk in and get one? Like, they're claiming it's for medical reasons only, right? This New York bill, the only reason you can get an abortion up until the day before is for example, medical reasons, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. Well, what they were saying on...
It doesn't surprise me that you can just walk in and get one.
Yeah. Well, what they were saying on Steven Crowder is, yes, it is true that you are limited by a medical need, but these abortion clinics and these abortion doctors are so willy-nilly when it comes to handing out these medical sort of situations that you can literally go in and claim that having this baby would trigger post-mortem stress or whatever it may be, and they basically give you the abortion anyway. So while they sit there and claim, yes, it's for medical reasons, the medical reasons is so easy to get that at the end of the day, it's pretty much a guaranteed thing anyway. So that to me was a little bit concerning, because if that's the point, then why are you limiting it to medical if it's so easy to get? You know, like if I can walk into an abortion clinic in New York and say, if I'm a female, for example, and say that, you know, having this baby would cause stress that I can't handle, and they're like, yep, no probs, abortion's guaranteed, then, you know, like, why are you limiting, what's the point in limiting it to medical anyway? Why not just give it to everybody? Like, why they, yeah, you know what I mean? It seems like that this... Well, it's only medical is a bit of an excuse, but that doesn't really hold up, was what I'm saying.
Yeah, but do remember that mental health is under the medical umbrella. So.
Yeah. And look, obviously, if some girl actually will suffer from stress from giving birth, for example, then obviously you don't want her to go through and commit suicide because she had a baby, for example, right? But apparently, according to what Steven Crowder, and look, obviously he's right-wing, so take what he says with a grain of salt, because it could be bias or whatever it may be, but according to this ex-Planned Parenthood worker who was on Steven Crowder's show, it's basically so easy to get that okay that you can just make up an excuse and they'll okay it, they'll approve it. But yeah, so that's just something I was gonna, but anyway, and it looks like Virginia is deciding to go and try and go down the same path now. Like we've had New York, who literally went through and went, yeah, we'll give abortions to everybody up until birth, and now Virginia's sort of passing it. Are they really that worried about Roe v. Wade? Like,
I'm worried about this.
Yeah, it's like it's
because the thing is, I mean, I've seen a child, grow in the womb, and then I've seen a birth because I'm a father, and I can tell you that the child is pretty much all the marbles are there by the beginning of the third trimester.
Yeah,
this child is alive, and then I mean the child is pretty much fully formed by the fourth trimester. That's grisly to terminate that.
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, you and I...
You may as well be reaching in, pulling it out by the leg and just throwing it, into a wood chipper.
Well, it's actually, we should actually go through and watch this segment online or something about this, about what this Planned Parenthood worker or ex-worker was saying, because it's worse than that. But what I was going to say was, look, obviously you and I have different stance when it comes to abortion and stuff like that. I believe that if a woman's been raped or assaulted or something like that, then she wants to terminate the pregnancy, then yeah, she should be able to. But at the end of the...
I don't think anyone ever said that.
No.
No one ever said that if you were raped or in some, like an issue like that, don't terminate.
I think some people on the right do, but...
Well, maybe, but I think that all in all, that is actually a that's the scarecrow that they build.
Maybe.
It's not scarecrow argument. It's something else. But
yeah, straw man argument. You mean?
Straw man argument. That's
yeah.
That's
You
a
were
straw man
close.
argument that the left use. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. What were you going to say?
No, that's it. I mean, and they'll argue on that point. They'll argue on that point all the way, which it's not true. That's just patently false. That they think that the conservatives want to get rid of it altogether, which is just not the case. No.
Yeah, well, according to InfoWars Hero, that have also talked about it, by the way, Virginia House Democrats are proposing legislation that will allow abortions to be performed right up until a woman is giving birth. It's called, introduces as HB 2491. And a lot of people are talking about it right now. Look, at the end of the day, and this is where I lose faith in the left. You know, they sit there and they claim it's not murder. Well, no, it is. You know, at the end of the day, you're going to go through and you're going to push the abortion side of things, fine, but let's call it for what it is. Let's say that it is murder, right? Let's not sugarcoat it into turning around and saying it's not murder because it's just a bunch of cells. That to me makes me want to get my back up and think, okay, you're literally going through and you're trying to dehumanize something that will become a person, even if it's not now, even if your definition is not now, but at a later date, it's going to become a person, and you're trying to dehumanize it. I'm surprised the left loves to dehumanize people, but regardless. But what I was going to say was, but yeah, it by trying to shift the goalpost to, oh, it's not murder because it's not alive. Well, to me, that's a load of crap, and that's where you lose people like me on this debate. Because if you're going to try and make excuses and dehumanize something, calling it a bunch of clusters or whatever it was, then you obviously have no faith in the argument. And that's where you you lose me. But yeah, I don't know.
This is disgusting.
Yeah, it's concerning because this is the second state that's gone through and actually had this. This is the second state that's actually gone through and pushed this in a few weeks now. It seems to be all these Democrat states are really worried about Roe v. Wade being overturned, that they're literally pushing through these new abortion laws. Well, you know, the thing is, okay, if every Democratic state is going to have these abortion laws, then why don't the Republicans overturn Roe v. Wade? If the only thing that stops the Republicans from overturning Roe v. Wade is the fact that would affect different states with their abortion laws, but all these states are going to go through and put through their own abortion laws anyway, then why do you have Roe v. Wade? Maybe it is time to overturn it. I don't know. This could really hurt the Democrats in the end, because all these new laws they're pushing through is basically making Roe v. Wade completely useless. But yeah, I don't know. Want to jump into the Vegas shooting thing?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So, okay, guys. So the Vegas massacre exposed. Really happened. So some of you may know, obviously, and thanks to Satellite for actually finding this story because I completely missed it. After a 16-month investigation, we finally have answers on what happened in Vegas. After 16 months, we know completely, without a shadow of a doubt, exactly what happened, right? Because otherwise it'd be a complete waste of time, and 4chan could probably do a better job. But no, if you guessed right now, I'm being completely sarcastic, we still have no idea. After 16 months, they've closed the investigation with no real explanation on motive or anything at all. But let's jump into the story. So the Vegas massacre is clearly the new JFK murder conspiracy updated for the 21st century. The whole story stinks to heaven. It's rancid. Clearly our own government, FBI, Las Vegas police are involved in some sort of cover-up. The question is, what are they covering up? Vegas is my home. I have the top-ranked radio show in the town. Many dozens of Vegas residents have gotten in touch with me to give their take on the Vegas Massacre, including the top group that has been MGM employees. Now, this was written by assistant editor. It just says that. So they're obviously trying to... by Waller and Root, for example. Now, at the end of the day, he's top 20 nagging questions, inconsistencies, and theories about the massacre. So the first question is Rambo. How did an overweight, out-of-shape 60-year-old anonymous guy that no one's radar, with no military training, no military law enforcement or history, had became Rambo overnight? He carried out this plot with no help, got hundreds of pounds of weapons to his room. He broke open a hurricane-strength 800-pound window, set up sniper guns, pulled off the worst mass shooter in American's history with no training, no help, even though one overriding them of the every survivor witness I spoke to or heard from is saying they saw or heard multiple shooters. Yet the FBI and the Las Vegas police immediately discarded this theory. Why? The second inconsistency is that the constant changing timeline. Did guard Jesus Campos arrive before the shooting started, or after, or during? Why has this story changed so many times? Why can't anyone get a straight answer? It's telling how the authorities finally settled on one timeline most beneficial to MGM, the single boist employee in the company town called Las Vegas. More on this under Jesus Campos storyline. 3. Police Homicide Division isn't investigating the worst mass shooting in the US history. I'm just going to read out the headlines because there's a lot of information here, guys, and it's all in the description below. The Vegas Sheriff, Sheriff Joe Lamambo, is in the interest of full disclosure, I was a fan. I support the sheriff in his election. I feel he's been in a very tough position. So since literally every the Vegas sheriff in history retires, he goes to work head of security for a large Vegas hotel. Where is the video? Las Vegas has video cameras everywhere, but reportedly there is none on this. Why not? Even though he supposedly had cameras in his room. The girlfriend happened to fly to Philippines a few days before her boyfriend carries out the worst mass shooting in US history. And then he also wired her $100,000 in the Philippines. Money laundering. Paddock had no obvious huge income stream. Paddock himself bragged that he was one of the biggest high roller video players in America. So how did he live at a $300,000 home in Nevada? How did he get all the money? Rich or heavily in debt. First we're told that Paddock was rich and had a huge roller lifestyle. Of late, sheriffs changed the story that he was heavily in debt. So, you know, which is it? Paddock paid off his marketer. So it's never been mentioned in the media once. This got an inside scoop from Paddock's longtime Mandalay Bay casino host. Paddock owed MGM $100,000 on Friday night before the massacre. Paddock won $100,000 playing video poker. If he was planning on dying on Sunday, he certainly would have blown it on hookers and cocaine. So why did he go and pay off his $100,000 loan when he supposedly was going to be dying the next day? It's a good question. Child porn. Police say they found child porn on Paddock's computer, but it was announced after the shooting that Paddock's hard drive was gone, removed from the computer, nowhere to be found. Also, I think they found it on his brother's computer too, didn't they? But yeah, this guy has gone through and just put through this list of all these questions, and there's a lot of inconsistencies in this. And this report literally gives us no closer to finding out what happened than when the shooting first started. We know absolutely nothing now, or nothing any more now than what we knew when it first happened. Like,
yeah.
What's
16 months of investigation at the FBI, and they have nothing.
Yeah, after 16 months, they've investigated this, and they still have not found a single thing. I tell you what, we're lucky that these guys aren't trained investigators, because otherwise it would be really, really, really freaking sad, wouldn't it?
Yep.
I don't know. What are your thoughts on this?
Well,
What do you reckon?
There's. I think the best theory is that it's like one of those CIA gun running operations gone wrong. I think that one. Has some merit to it.
Yeah. So what he's talking about there for the people playing along at home is theory is that Paddock was actually a gun dealer or a gun runner, and I actually heard it could have been ISIS, but regardless, I suppose it's not really. Yeah. Either or. But what I was going to say was supposedly it was a gun deal that was going to be happening in the room, and people are saying that it was a gun deal that went bad. That at the end of the day, it was supposed to be a gun buy or whatever it may be, and it went bad. It would explain why you had 3 cameras. Like, I don't know about you, but when I go and stay into a hotel, I don't put 3 cameras up where I'm literally staying. So,
Yeah, and usually if you're going to do a shooting, you don't have an uncarryable amount of weapons in the room.
Well, that's the thing too. With all these weapons that he had, what was his plan? Right, he had like 20-something firearms, I think it was. Well, what was his plan? What, to get through them all before the cops turn up? Like, why didn't he just have 2 firearms and a whole shit ton of mags? Why did you have to have so many different weapons? You're going to tell me that reloading a clip is slower than putting your gun down, moving over, grabbing a next gun, possibly going back to where you were, smashing a window or something to get out. You would think that just dropping the mag, putting a new one in, loading the weapon and firing would be a lot faster. So why did he need so many different types of weapons? That would be my question about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this whole thing... Sorry?
I have it in my head that, if the shooting didn't happen, then there was going to be a few shady people coming and going.
Well...
buying weapons,
There's also the fact that I think it was the Saudi Arabians or something, wasn't it? That was down on the level floor 8 or something like that. Like, there is a lot of things about this shooting that does not make sense. And look, at the end of the day, like they said, how does an overweight man carry all these guns up to his room without anybody noticing him making 8 or 10 trips through the lobby? Like...
Yeah, and it's also thought that there was 3 men in the room. Now
I heard 2. I heard 2, but yeah.
Well,
so
2? Yeah, it's 2 or 3, right?
Yeah.
Now a deal partner, like a weapons dealing partner, probably left the room with a weapon.
Yep.
And Stephen sacrificed himself to allow the other 1 or 2 guys to get away, but they gave him cover fire or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And remember that old lady in the lineup that said that people were going to die.
Yeah.
No one ever talks about that one.
No.
And
so there was a girl that was at the...
court doesn't talk about it.
Yeah. So there's a girl over at Oh well, in the one that I'm reading now, there's over 30 different. I only read the first 5 or 10, so it could be in here. I don't know. But yeah, so what he's talking about there for the people at home is that there was a girl that was supposedly that went over to the country festival and reportedly told people on the dance floor that they're all going to die within half an hour. And also you got...
Old lady.
It was an old lady, was it? I thought it was... Yeah, I'm not quite sure of her age, but yeah, some lady was over at the festival. And also you got to ask too, is why is it a lot of these eyewitnesses that were speaking out against this mass shooting in Vegas seem to have had terrible accidents? There was the couple that spoke out saying that that she went through and started a Facebook group that was looking into the possibility of it being a false flag mission, and literally a week, 2 weeks after, whatever it may be, after the Facebook group was created, her and her partner happened to drive off a cliff or something when they were driving their full drive. Then there was the kid that claimed that he got shot from the front when he was running away or something like that. He died from heart attack or something. There was a whole bunch. There was about 3 to 5 people that came out that tried to raise awareness about this being a false flag, and they all mysteriously died of like really weird circumstances. So, you know, like, sure, people are going to die. People die every day. But you don't have, you know, a certain cluster coming from one event that just seemingly want to die off. Like, the question has to be is, well, why are so many people around this incident dying? And is it not just, you know, what is it, random, or is it, yeah? But I don't know. But anyway, want to jump onto the next story and keep going, or?
Yeah, next story. I think what can be said has been said. It stinks to higher heaven.
Yeah, I definitely think there's something a little bit fishy going on here. So, yeah. But anyway, let's jump on to the next thing. So Xbox down, live streaming service not working with users reporting blank screens. So for the people that have gone through and tried to jump on Xbox earlier today, if you are having issues, that could be the reason. I have been using my Xbox all day and haven't had a problem. So it might be just people that were limited to the US. But the issue was first mentioned on Reddit, where multiple users reported seeing nothing on their screens, and then they turned on their Microsoft gaming consoles. The issue impacting the live system has been acknowledged by Microsoft on Twitter. Quote, "We're aware and reports of Xbox One's console startup, titled update and signing in errors," the company said. "They will keep everyone informed once they have more information to share. Thank you all for your patience." Microsoft referred users to the Xbox Live status page for updates. But yeah, obviously just anybody, if you were having problems signing into your Xbox earlier today, if you were getting a blank screen, that was most likely common the reason. Next story is obviously evidence that Rashida Tlaib.
Use your words.
I don't know how to use that word, bro. I really have no idea. I think she's the Democrat. She's one of the Democrats. Yeah, she's a Michigan Democrat. She lied about her residency to run for office, registered to vote at a false address. Oh boy. So Michigan Democrat Congressman Rashida, I'm getting that name wrong, registered to vote from a false address and represented a state house district that she did not actually live in, according to credit score and property records obtained by Big League Politics. Tlaib's own father even said that Tlaib lied about her address in order to run for office. Here's what the evidence presents below proves. Rashida Tlaib registered to vote at a false address, and she remarked on her first political campaign, registering to vote using a false address is one of a number of crimes that fall into voter fraud category. Tlaib, I'm getting that name as, ran for and represented the 12th district of the Michigan House of Representatives, even though she was not a resident of that district. Records show that Tlaib was an absentee owner at the Detroit house she claimed to live in. Tlaib moved to her official Detroit apartment address, which she reported to the FEC after the election. The start of her 2018 campaign, her new address was recorded from the first time one day before she announced her campaign for Congress. The Detroit news media erased information about these crimes from the internet. A Change.org petition entitled "Impeach Tlaib" is now closing in on 300,000 signatures. Obviously, this will have a link in the description below, so feel free to go and sign that if you agree with it. And amid national coverage controversy for Tlaib's profane comments about President Trump. The petition states that she lied about living in Detroit using her father's house address. She never lived there. She lived in Dearborn. Her father has verified this. You must live in the district you are running into to represent. We demand a full investigation and recount of every vote that she supposedly received.
Wow.
and there's obviously more to the story, but obviously we're trying to get through all these stories today, guys. Okay, so what are your thoughts on this?
More government corruption, or in this case, it's a local district. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the name sounds, the name is indicative, I think, of more to look into here.
Yeah. So my question is why did she run under this address? My assumption, I'm assuming here, was that at the end of the day, this was an easier place for her to win. So maybe the existing Democrat person was pretty useless. Maybe he didn't have any sort of major competition. Maybe she was better off running under that state or something, or that suburb or whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's definitely. Look, dude. At the end of the day, people are they're lying to try and win seats now. Is this what the Democrat Party is?
Yeah. Oh, dude, the Democrat Party is. Actually, I saw something just interesting. The Democrat Party thinks that it's more united than ever, but in fact more divided than ever. And just funny fact, the Republicans think they're more divided now, but they're actually more united now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's a strange dynamic going on. But when it comes to the Democrats, it's becoming clear that they're willing to do whatever it takes, and to hell with the law.
Yeah. So
you don't want people like that representing you.
No, well, I was going to say, look, at the end of the day, if you've won the election fair and square, then, good for you, sort of thing, right? But if you're having to lie, cheat, steal, put up fake addresses, bring in foreign voters and stuff like that in order to try and win an election, like, you really must sit there and think at some point in time that, shit, maybe we're just not that popular. Maybe people, just... Yeah,
the average American voter is just not in line with this far left craziness. The weird thing though is that there's a bit of a overlap when it comes to Trump supporters and Ocasio-Cortez supporters, because there are things that Ocasio-Cortez is actually saying that actually seems to resonate with the Trump base. Of course, that's because the far left and the far right share quite a bit of, let's say, certain ideologies.
Yeah, true.
But at the end of the day, either the far right and the far left is not going to get power. It's going to be the center right. That's what I think is going to take over. Which is basically, your basic capitalist, populist kind of thinking. That scares the living crap out of the Democrats at the moment. And they're willing to do whatever it takes to defeat that. And I don't think they're going to win.
Well, even now, and this is something I was going to talk about, but I don't think it's actually in the queue. You have, for example, now you have a guy, the Starbucks CEO or ex-CEO of Starbucks, claiming that the far left have lost their way of sorts, and he is actually going through and he's actually running as an independent centrist.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Now the problem is obviously the far left are not happy about this, because he's going to take votes away from them. So they're basically, this guy's been attacked by everybody from the right, from the left. He's been attacked everywhere. So
and I can tell you why. You look at Starbucks and the way that they behave. It's clear that they are progressive, but in disagreement with the far left.
Yeah.
So, they're going. It's like Tim Pool says: when you're in the middle, you'll get flack from both sides. It's not easy.
No, and look, And this is the thing too, and people get confused. Like they think, oh, Starbucks is progressive, blah blah blah. I would say that the workers from Starbucks, they're progressive. However, I would say that the CEOs and the people that run Starbucks, they are more likely to be capitalists than progressives.
Obviously, yes. If you're CEO of a big company, of course, you're capitalist. But
which is probably why he's a centrist.
Yeah, but do remember that there are big things that Starbucks has done, and that would have to have approval from above, like those things that they did with the cups having certain writing on them and being, having progressive sort of imagery.
But
and
how much is that?
Cannot just be done,
But how much of that is just virtue signaling to try and sell coffee?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, capitalism, of course. And most of the people who would spend that kind of money for coffee are going to be your sort of hoity-toity type people. I get it, yes. It's going to resonate with that customer base and sell more coffee, yes, I get it. Yeah,
so that's what I was going to say. I don't think that the Starbucks CEOs and whatnot, and we're sort of a bit off topic here, but anyway, I don't think the Starbucks CEOs and whatnot are that far left or that progressive. I would say what they're doing is more about trying to sell coffee to the far left.
Yeah.
But anyway, we probably should get jumping on to the next story. I finally got to tweet out all the links. So Empire star Jussie Smollett assaulted in Chicago in suspected hate crime. Or was it? Empire star Jussie Smollett, who was hospitalized early Tuesday following the assault in Chicago in what is described as a possible hate crime, Vanity has confirmed. According to a statement released by the Chicago Police Department, Smollett was beaten by two men who approached him yelling out racial and homophobic slurs at approximately 2 a.m. Tuesday morning in the 300 block of East North Water Street, they proceeded to assault Smollett and pour an unknown chemical substance on him. Two men are said to have put a rope around Smollett's neck before fleeing on foot. Smollett then transported himself to an area hospital and described as being in good condition. Now, here's the thing, right? The police have gone through and reviewed hundreds of hours of video and found no footage of alleged attack on Jussie Smollett.
Really?
Makes you wonder.
And he was in good condition when he got to the hospital?
Yeah. So here you have someone who is...
So the corrosive toxic substance, it just didn't work.
Might have been water, could have been, who knows what it was, right? But yeah, I get your point, yeah. So let me get this straight. Some guy at 2 o'clock in the morning supposedly was assaulted by two men that he can't identify, who were using racial and homophobic slurs, who the TMZ reportedly claims said that this is Trump land, or this is Mega Land, I think it was, which is kind of weird because I don't know anybody that says that this is Mega Land, but regardless. But I was going to say, but yeah, and then after investigating this, the police department can't seem to find any proof that it happened. They can't find any video proof of him being assaulted.
This reminds me of the girl that said that someone pulled her hijab off, and turns out she lied.
People are starting to wonder now, and it's funny because the far left that jumped on this yesterday and that were reporting about him supposedly being assaulted in this hate crime, all of a sudden aren't reporting about this. For example, Phil DeFranco ran this story yesterday going on about how disgusting it was about hate crimes in America and really virtue signaled about it. But today's story didn't even talk about this. Hasn't even talked about the fact that the police department can't find a single bit of video proof to back up his claim. It's not just that, but police have said we've found no obvious people that could be assailants in Jussie Smollett's attack. So as the police department continues its investigation into the reported attack on the gay TV actor Jussie Smollett, officials seem to be growing skeptic, with the CPD noting that it has found no obvious people who could be suspects in the attack.
Okay.
Now look, at the end of the day, Phil DeFranco was very keen to go through and to talk about this yesterday, but he didn't mention it in today's video. I'm
just gonna say it. Fuck Philip DeFranco.
Philly D, take a D.
That's it.
Yeah, you and I seem to be on the same page on that one. Look, I liked Phil DeFranco's stuff a few years ago. He's one of the reasons. Yeah, he's one of the reasons why I do what I do. I saw Phil DeFranco and I thought, hey, that would be cool. You know, there's someone who gives an unbiased opinion of the news, whether it be left or right, whatever it may be. And then after he became independent, he seemed to have sold out and gone off the rails. It seems to be that when he was brought out, he was actually more centrist than what he is now, which is kind of weird, I suppose. But at the end of the day, getting back to this, so after hundreds of hours of video footage, there's no footage of the alleged attack. Police have found no obvious people that could be assailants, and at the end of the day, he's the substance they poured on him ended up being what I assume is tap water. They threw a rope around his neck and then ran off, screaming homophobic slurs. And now TMZ yesterday was reporting that this is Mega Land, or this is Trump Land, or whatever it was. When was the last time you ever heard a Trump supporter turn around and say, this is Mega Land? Have you ever heard anybody say that at all?
I've never heard anyone say MAGA Land.
No, and I've never heard anyone say if it's MAGA, Trump Land, anything like that. I've never heard him say that. That to me is real stupid. So that incident, that report from TMZ, I was really skeptical about in the first place. But what I was going to say was, let alone that, but what? Now there's no footage. There's no obvious witnesses. Like, what the hell's going on here? Is this a fake hate crime? Is this something else that has yet been faked? And why is it that the left don't seemingly want to report on the fact that the police can't find any obvious people or any video evidence to back it up? Well, we know why, but you know what I mean. Yeah. But, and look, who knows? Maybe Phil DeFranco will cover it tomorrow, right? It's only breaking today. Maybe he'll hear about it and he'll talk about it tomorrow. Maybe. But that said, he talked about Ariana Grande, which is one of the stories that we got. So, you know, at the end of the day, he's... Yeah, I don't know about that, but... Yeah, what are your thoughts? Fake or real hate crime?
Yeah, I'll just err on the side of... Nah, I think it's most likely a fake hate crime, and yeah, just fuck Philip DeFranco. The guy is not. No, his recent activity is very suspect, and I think he's just gone down, you know, the road of being bought out. You know, just yeah. I don't
well,
know.
He's quite independent now.
Yeah. If he was so independent, then he wouldn't be chasing the dollar sign so much. You know, to help anyone.
Yeah, well, there's that. Also, you know, the report he did with I think it was South America, was it Brazil or Venezuela or something like that? He was covering one of the elections down there. He basically got called out by his audience because the person that he was interviewing was a far left person, a far left activist or whatever it may have been. And he was trying to brand this president, this prime minister or whatever that ran as a far right, and people were calling him out for it. So there's been a lot of stuff that Phil DeFranco has done lately that doesn't make too much sense. So yeah.
And the interesting thing too, when Philip DeFranco got caught out all that BetterHelp stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, all respect to Boogie, but Boogie 298, he came out, he exposed a bunch of stuff, and then next thing you know, there's one of those ladies that does that, that's all wrapped up in it, visited him in person. He kind of backpedaled a lot, so
I didn't even hear about
any
that.
of these people anymore. Yeah, they were. Boogie went on the kill stream even.
Yeah, I heard about that
he
part.
exposed a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard about
then
that. I never heard
he
about the person.
backpedaled a bit.
Oh, okay. I never heard about the person turning up to his house or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, it's this lady. She's a like a psychologist or something.
All right.
She's not an actual doctor.
Was she the one that involved in Shane Dawson's thing?
Yeah. That whole thing to do with depression. That
Yeah.
YouTube, like, something like, tons of big YouTubers were talking about mental health and depression and stuff.
Yeah.
She was involved in that. So
Because Shane Dawson had
was-
some.
yeah.
Shane Dawson had some therapist quotes that was on his show. I'm thinking maybe was it the same girl? Maybe I don't know. I'd have to check. But
I think that's the lady. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And she looks weird too. Like, she can't smile and all this weird. Like, her
Oh.
facial expressions seem strange too.
Yeah. I'm not going to go crucifying someone who can't smile, but yeah, I get what you mean. Let's jump on to the next thing because otherwise we're about halfway through and we're pretty making good time. So let's get going. Tucker dedicates segment to walls around Trump's biggest critics. I'm just gonna say I love frigging Tucker Carlson right now. Like, I think this guy's like fucking a boss. But anyway, Tucker Carlson ran a segment on his show. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say that he's consistent. He's no different now than he was 5 years ago. And
Yeah.
that's what's really cool. He's stayed consistent, and then the worse the left it gets, the more he's like, these people are insane.
Yeah.
And he has attacked the far right too. Not as much.
No.
It's like Tim Pool. Tim
Yeah.
Pool is like, I have no time to cover what the right does because the left is doing so much crazy. So
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Well, the left has gone completely batshit crazy, but so Tucker Carlson ran a segment on his show Tuesday night dedicating to the Daily Caller's latest installment of Walls Across America, a series dedicated to pointing out those who have walls around their homes while disapproving of President Donald Trump's desire to build a wall along the national southern border. Holy shit, this is trolling to another.
Wow.
This is trolling to another level. This is quite funny. Well, it couldn't have been any clearer, but wait, there's a caveat. There's always is. Some walls aren't evil at all. Some are necessary and good. So for those of you keeping track of the theological home, we offer you a brief tour of walls across the Democratic Party has deemed perfectly moral, Carson began. We began with border barriers in Tusacan and Jordan. Democrats voted to pay for those walls. So obviously they're okay. Israel has walls too. Holy shit, he really went there. He continues, here in the US, it turns out we have plenty of moral walls too. Just this Sunday, Kamala Harris announced her campaign for president. For security, huge swaths of streets of Oakland, California were blocked, walled off, you might say. With her own security at stake, Senator Harris had no problems with this. They were moral walls. And there were many more moral walls. Benny Johnson of the Daily Caller has set out across America to find more of them. And as you might have guessed, a huge number of the most moral walls we have protect our homes of Democratic donors. I believe George Soros has a very nice, great big wall around his house. Carlson added, well, it's quite a list. There you have a more. It's not surprising the more you think about it that there is really only one immoral wall on earth. No, it's not in China. The Chinese are highly moral. Ask Dianne Feinstein. The immoral wall is posed on the wall of our southern border, the one thing that might keep future Democratic voters out, and for the reason alone, that's immoral. Johnson has previously travelled to the wall homes of billionaire Democrat donor George Soros, which is what I was just saying actually, and former President Barack Obama. Trump continues to push for the construction of the wall on the US-Mexico border. The funding remains unclear. The government shutdown was for 35 days over the issue, the longest shutdown in history. The president agreed to reopen the government for 3 weeks despite not getting any funding for the wall. But he did go through and say that he was actually going to have a debate with them about that. So, yeah. But yeah, so what are your thoughts?
I love how he chose that. And this is the thing, right?
Mm.
This is... Tucker Carlson, he's great and all, but he is very late to troll on this particular topic.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking him, but
no.
I'm just saying, like, you know, for a couple of years at least, we've been pointing this out. Like,
yeah.
You know, all these big people, like the chick who wrote the, you know, what was it called? The books. What's his name? The magic thing.
Oh,
the movies, the kids.
Yeah. Harry Potter. Yeah, whatever her name is. I've gone blank. Yeah.
She has multiple mansions and big walls, but calls for the mass immigration. And most of the time, it's been pointed out in Australia, Europe, Canada, America, all that. You know, they put them all into places of middle class, not where the politicians live with their great big fenced off, you know, areas that they have.
Yeah, you mean the migrants go into these middle class, working class areas?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But the politicians, while they are happy off, you know, 50 k's down the road in their big housing estates with the giant big fence that they have to, you know, put a key card on to drive into, you know.
Yeah, and that's something that I've actually talked about.
The hypocrisy of it is unreal.
And that's something I've talked about. I think it was about 12 months ago, actually. These Democrat politicians were causing or asking for more migrants to, I think it was California, but the areas they were throwing them into California were all working class areas. They literally turned around and said they didn't want them in their area, but hey, we'll put them 4 suburbs over where the working class is. You know, it was like places like, for example, like along the coastline and stuff, and these rich, you know, sort of areas didn't want migrants, but they were the same people that voted to take the migrants in, and then were throwing them into the working class areas. So, yeah, what you're saying is definitely true.
Yeah, like here in Australia, we've taken in about 500,000, I think, over the last few years, and none of them are settled in Canberra.
No, 160,000 we took last year.
Last year was 160,000, but I think the total over the years is closer to almost 500,000.
Yeah.
They're put into, you know, outback areas, into places like Rockdale, you know, Campsie, these are New South Wales areas. Yep. And then you have them in Queensland. They're put all along, you know, the beach area, or sort of the middle class areas. Yeah. The lower class areas too. But no, not in Canberra. You know, not in Canberra.
So, are you saying we should go to these middle class areas with maps to where Canberra is, and basically just letterbox everybody to say, hey, this is the best place if you ever want to get free stuff? That could work.
would be funny, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Here is your local politician that will give you free stuff. Please go and visit.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, probably should keep going.
Well, if you want to stick on the Tucker Carlson sort of thing, it's only a couple of minutes.
Sure.
Play that video I just threw in general. He talked about learn to code.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he told the learn to code thing too, yeah.
Copy link. Okay, guys, we're going to get an update on Tucker.
Tell me when to start to play, and I'll play it.
Yep, sure. And oh, I don't know how this is going to go with the internet, but at the very least the recording will get it perfectly. Alright, starting in 3, 2, 1.
Well, the past couple weeks have been pretty awful for American journalists. Hundreds of reporters and editors at places like Huffington Post and BuzzFeed lost their jobs, victims of systemic changes to their industry. No matter what you think of those sites, it's sad. Anyone who's lost his job knows it's very tough. Now, those journalists suddenly have a lot in common with millions of other Americans: factory workers, loggers, retail clerks, coal miners. All of them and many more have seen their way of life disappear thanks to technology or outsourcing or private equity. This kind of thing has been going on a long time. Now, in previous cycles, what we used to call creative destruction, journalists had ready advice for newly unemployed blue-collar workers.
Shit.
Just learn to code. Coding is the future. Stop whining and embrace it. Here's a selection of headlines you might remember on that subject. This one's from NPR. From coal to code, a new path for laid-off miners in Kentucky. From Wired, the tech evangelist magazine. Can you teach a coal miner to code? From CBS News, out-of-work coal miners find new work in computer industry. And this from Bloomberg, Appalachian miners are learning to code. And from the venerable New York Times, the coders of Kentucky. See, it's that simple. Let's say you spent 30 years making a solid middle-class living in a paper mill in northern New Hampshire. Then one day the mill shuts down, sold for scrap to China. Happened a lot, but no problem. Just learn to code. Everyone in Brooklyn's doing it. Well, coding was never a real solution to any of this, obviously, but it had the effect of making journalists feel even more self-satisfied. And of course, that was the point. It's always the point, actually. Fast forward to this month. Someone on Twitter came up with a pretty brilliant piece of advice for all those laid-off journalists trying to figure out what to do with their lives. Learn to code. Perfect. Suddenly, learn to code was everywhere on Twitter. But journalists didn't see the humor in this at all. A former New Yorker employee called Talia Lavin called the phrase, quote, far-right hate. People who went to Wesleyan shouldn't have to learn to code. So they complained to the censorship authorities at Twitter, who immediately concluded that asking someone to learn to code might be, quote, targeted harassment, but only when it's directed at people who used to work at BuzzFeed. For the paper mill guy in New Hampshire, coding is still the future.
That was pretty good, actually. Good segment. Yeah. Alright. Alright, let's keep going because someone's trying to call me on my mobile and I need to find out who it is sooner or later. So, South Dakota lawmakers, the Second Amendment is your carry permit. So South Dakota House Representatives passed legislation Tuesday intending to abolish the need to acquire a concealed carry permit in order to carry for self-defense. The NRA reported that the House had voted 47 to 23 in favor of doing away with the permit requirement. The measure had already passed the Senate. The measures faced opposition from Democrats, some of whom have contended that removing a concealed carry permit requirement would somehow boost suicides. What? How? I don't know. I don't know about that one either.
Okay.
If you can work that out, let me know in the comments section. The angry leader reports that the Democrats' opposition was joined by State Representative Doug Barthrow, Republican, who's probably never going to get voted ever again. Sickle Falls, who indicated his opposition to the bill because his constituents opposed to the bill. Okay, I can sort of, I don't know about that. But State Representative Tim Goodwin, who's a Republican from Rapid City, told his Republican colleagues that the bill should be supported on the grounds that they took an oath to uphold the U.S. Constitution, which says nothing about requiring a permit to exercise the Second Amendment rights. On 27th of November 2018, Breitbart News reported that South Dakota was on the cusp of repealing their concealed carry permits. The government elected Kristi Norman had already signaled support for the ending of the requirement, and now the legislation to do so sits on her desk. Gnomes has 5 business days to act on the legislation. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the Second Amendment does basically mean you have the right to bear arms, and so if you take that to its logical conclusion, basically, yeah, you can have a gun.
True.
You don't need all these gun laws that they have are unconstitutional.
Yeah.
However, and I know it's a slippery slope, but you do need to have some kind of gun control, just a little bit, a little bit.
Yeah.
I do agree there, right? But,
yeah, I don't think every mentally ill person should get a firearm, which is kind of why I support Trump's ban on transsexuals. Sorry?
Yeah. And if you've been to prison, you can't vote and you can't have a gun. Like,
well, in some places you can now, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But, a little bit of gun control is fine, but I mean, some states are taking it too far, and apparently things have been, getting pretty bad in America. I've heard they call it red carding. I think it is, or something like that. They're spreading that around a lot, and cops are showing up at people's places and just saying, "Give me all your guns," there was an incident to do with this. The guy was shot, I believe.
So this is happening in the places in the suburbs and in the states that are Democrat strongholds. And what they're doing is they're going through and removing certain firearms and trying to clamp down on the Second Amendment. And
it's I think it's called red carding, or it's red something, or something red. It's escaping my mind at the moment, but because I haven't looked into it, but I've heard of it.
Yeah.
And it is, and apparently this is the most unconstitutional gun law that's ever existed, and it's spreading. It's in like 2 or 3 states, and there are other states looking into it. It's pretty bad.
Look, at the end of the day, I think at the end of the day, if you have a license to say that so for example, if you want to get a gun right over in the US, I would fully support them going through, doing a safety training course, joining the NRA maybe. And doing a background check to make sure they're not mentally ill or anything like that. Apart from that, I think everybody should have the right to bear arms. I grew up hunting, I grew up shooting, I grew up with firearms. I never once felt like getting a gun and shooting anybody, and I was bullied at high school. So at the end of the day, I don't think this whole argument of guns turn bullies into killers, I don't believe that. I've played some of the most violent video games ever growing up. I've played Doom, all these sort of places. Where you literally, like Unreal Tournament, Doom, all these games I played growing up. I never once felt like getting a gun and shooting anybody. So
pretty much.
But what?
And the thing is too, interestingly, in Australia, since Port Arthur, our gun ownership has gone up and up and up since.
Yeah, and we've also had 5 reignitions of it too.
Sorry.
We've also had 5 reinitiations, that's not the right word. We've had 5 different times where the government has tried to clamp down on gun control. They've put through 5 re-editions of the bill to try and clamp down on guns, because people don't want to hand them over.
Oh, sorry. They're not trying to reverse the gun law.
No. They're trying to clamp it down even more. They're trying to make it so it's even harder and harder to get guns, and they just keep trying to pass these new bills and these new laws that makes it harder to get guns, and it doesn't seem to be doing anything because people are still having guns. People are still like, no, I'm not going to hand over my gun. Stuff you. But
yeah, it's almost as if gun laws don't work.
Yeah, who would have thought?
What a shock.
Yeah. And thank God in Australia we had that one massacre, that Port Arthur massacre, that one time in history when someone decided to get a gun and shoot people, because without that, the government would have never had a reason to get rid of firearms. That was just convenient.
There was so much strangeness around that. I tend to think MK Ultra, mind control or something, was involved in that guy doing that.
I have no idea. I actually thought about taking like a week off work and going and researching it once, but then I thought I might have enough heat on me already with my phone randomly getting disconnected and stuff. Yeah. But anyway, let's jump into the next story. So old photo of soot-covered coal miners is racist. Blackface, says offending idiot. Oh, sorry, it says offended idiot. Yeah, so apparently all the coal miners that went in and put a day's work at the coal mines, apparently they should have just learnt to code, because them having a photo taken of them at the pub after the day's work is now racist, apparently.
Hang on, but the coal it's coal dust, not paint.
It doesn't matter, it's still racist, man. Don't you know?
Oh, man. This is too stupid for me.
Yeah.
Next story.
Yeah, no. No, we're going to cover this, don't worry. Just when you thought snowflakes couldn't get any more pathetic, the opinion columnist for the Arizona Public newspaper planned an article in which he claimed that an old photograph of coal miners covered in soot was racist because it reminded him of offensive blackface. Yes, this is real. In a piece entitled Phoenix Restaurant says that the old photo of coal miners, but I see the offensive blackface, Rashida Thomas relates the story of how he was triggered after seeing the photograph hanging on the wall in a downtown Phoenix bar. Despite his friends telling him it's coal miners at the pub after work, Thomas demanded to speak to the manager before he told someone that he described as a white restaurant owner that he found the old photo offensive because he felt that it resembled blackface. Thomas eventually directly admits that the photograph shows coal miners' faces covered in soot, but then literally assessed that the context doesn't matter, only his feelings being hurt matters. Yeah, this is a legit story, guys. He then goes on to spout a series of pretentious platitudes, such as, in art, everyone sees something different, to justify forcing the bar to take down the photograph. I would have just left the photo up. I really, really would have. After claiming that he discriminates against because of his skin color, Thomas asserts at the downtown Phoenix restaurant, "My concern that the photograph of men in blackface was a threat to me, and my face and voice were ignored. A business's photography or photograph of men while blackened faces culturally says to me, whites only. It says people like me are not welcome." I'm guessing he's black, is he? Probably.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It's because they had coal on their face because they were in a freaking mine all day.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So these guys probably put in 12 hours a day or whatever, working in these coal mines. They probably had their life shortened because of, their job, toxic masculinity and all. And
Back
they
in
were...
those days, they used to breathe the coal in.
Yeah.
They used to kill them.
Dude, these guys look so black from all this soot and everything all over them. I would say that at the end of the day, they would have had a good few ton of it in their lungs. There's no way they did not breathe any of this stuff in, because their face is literally covered in this soot, right? So they've breathed this shit in. They've taken a great big breath of this coal dust, which is great for your health, mind you, toxic masculinity. But I was going to say, and here's some shrub complaining to the restaurant owner or the bar owner, because not only is the photo offensive, but now it makes me feel not welcomed, and you're ignoring my feelings of being hurt. Holy shit. Someone needs to grow a set.
If I was behind the counter, I would just say, "Get out of my freaking bar."
Yeah, I would have just told him to mate, go and have another beer or F off. That's what my argument would have been. I would have man, I've got too much shit to deal with running my bar, rather than having to listen to you moan about this crap. But this is probably why I don't own a bar. But, hey. But despite having already established that the photograph was of the miners in the pub after work, and was not white men engaging in blackface, the article concludes with Thomas demanding the photo should be taken down for the greater good. I would have told him to go and F off. The entire farce...
For the greater good.
Yeah. This entire farce once again underscored the soft tyranny that left attempting to impose on the world, forcing other people to change their environment and bow to everyone's demand simply because progressives claim their feelings are hurt. As writer Anu Doyle points out, the fictional character Jeffrey F. Swick, a parody of the permanently offended social justice warrior, actually tweeted about being offended by the same photograph back in August, meaning leftists are now directly intimidating. What's that friggin' word?
Intimidated.
No. When you copy something, when you
Imitate.
Imitate, that's it. The left are directly imitating comedian characters created to satirize them. This is why The Onion has said it's so hard to satirize the left these days. The New York Times also reportedly published an article claiming that Mary Poppins' face being covered in soot, she appears in an infamous scene with the chimney sweeps, is also actually an example of blackface. So not even Mary Poppins is safe. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't want to...
It's okay, keep going, just kidding, but yeah, no.
I really don't know if I can keep going, to be honest. This is just absolutely ridiculous. When left...
You're starting to twitch, like, feel...
Yeah. I don't know what's more painful, reading about this or the fact of my frigging shoulder, but either way. When leftists precisely ape about the behaviour of fictional characters created to ridicule them over sensitivity, how is it even possible to joke about their behaviour anymore? That's the end of the argument, okay? At the end of the article, I'm not talking about this anymore. Look, at the end of the day, I've made my argument. I've made my point clear. I would just tell them to harden up or go away. You can't give in to them. You really can't. But I don't know.
I'll cover this one just to lighten the mood from that horrible article. Bring it up. It's in your general. I'll read it out.
Okay.
So apparently, a young teenager called Zemarcus Scott. Oh boy. An Arkansas teenager with no training as a pilot tried to steal a plane last July 4 to fly himself to a hip-hop concert in Chicago, Texarkana today reported. After throwing his bicycle in a ditch, Zemarcus Scott climbed a fence, then boarded the plane, and was sitting in the pilot's seat in the cockpit when he was arrested. By 3 Texarkana ARC police officers, according to the Texarkana Gazette. Despite being caught red-handed, Scott is not going to prison.
No.
Instead, the 18-year-old was sentenced to 5 years of felony probation after pleading guilty to attempted theft of property and commercial burglary. According to the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, Scott was also ordered to pay a $1,000 fine. And he's also been ordered to participate in any mental health treatment required deemed necessary by the probation department. Now, yes, further down in the story, he's also banned from the airport.
Yeah.
And just to quickly wrap up the story, he thought there wasn't much more to flying the plane than pushing buttons and pulling levers, the newspaper reported.
So he thought he was a pilot, so he thought he would try and steal a plane to fly one.
Yeah, he wanted to go to a concert.
Oh my god, this is the end of society. It really, really is, isn't it?
Yeah, that story is hilarious. I thought you might like that one.
All right. I don't know what's killing me more, my shoulder or all these stories that we're covering lately. But let's keep going. Brussels ordered
That'd been a doozy.
Brussels ordered Britain to pay $39 billion Brexit bill, even if there's no deal, because, apparently, we still have to have our money. So Britain must pay the $39 billion Brexit bill, even if it leaves the EU without a deal, the European Commission has warned. Because, it's not about money or anything. Britain agreed to pay the financial settlement to the EU, which included the EU budget payment of up to 2020. The cover is liabilities and the block and unlocks talks over the future relationship. As it's released a new set of no-deal Brexit plans in Brussels on Wednesday, the Commission said all commitments taken by the 28 member state should be honoured by the 28 member state. This is also true in a no-deal scenario where the UK would be expected to continue to honour all commitments made during the EU membership. This, to me, seems like they are worried that they're not going to get their deal, and at the end of the day, the UK is going to walk out and leave them. And they're worried they're not going to get their money. This, to me, literally reeks of them being desperate for money, because they know they can't sustain themselves without that nice little cash cow from the UK. I don't know. What do you think?
Not much.
Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, I would tell Brussels to go fuck themselves. I really, really would. I would be like, nah, stuff you. No deal.
It's about time.
Yeah. Just walk in, flip the table, and then walk out. Sorry?
A no-deal Brexit. That's what they need.
Well, that's what they're going to get. If they don't get there by the end of by the certain date. I forget what the date is now. But if they don't get there by a certain date, it's a no-deal Brexit.
Dude, they've dragged this out so far that it's not even flogging a dead horse. By the time they arrive at Brussels, it's a pile of bones.
Yeah. And to me, this just is Brussels being desperate for money. This is Brussels realising that the UK is most likely going to leave on a no deal, and therefore, holy shit, what about me money? And they're trying to rush through a whole stack of new rules to basically make it so that the UK still has to pay.
Look, the writing is on the wall.
Yeah.
The main contributors to the EU are either going broke or want to leave.
Yeah.
So they see the writing on the wall, and the populism is basically another nail in the coffin at this point.
Yeah.
And some of the world's smartest people have written articles saying the EU is in big trouble.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for these people to end up on the street.
Well, I can't wait. For example, all these people that are claiming that the UK is going to suffer from not being a part of the EU and all this sort of shit. I can't wait for the UK to leave and then being proven wrong.
It's BS. Because when Britain leaves, okay, they don't have access to the trade deals anymore. Oh, come on.
Yeah, they can just make their own.
How does every other country do trade deals? They can make their own. And it's not magically just because they suddenly are out of the EU that people can't, Europeans can't come in and out across the border. Come on.
Yeah.
It's all a load of BS, the whole lot of it.
Yeah, I definitely find that to me this is more about the UK or the EU keep getting that nice amount of cash that they get from the UK, and it's quite a sizable amount of money. Yes, the UK does get rebates and stuff like that before everybody goes talking about it in chat, but they do make a lot more money when it comes to them going through and actually what they give to the UK.
And in the interest of brevity, we won't go in this too much, but we know that Article 1113 is a ruse. That it's to kill the internet in EU to try to slow down the populism, I think.
Yeah. Well, they've already came out and said that populism is a grave concern. But let's keep going anyway. So Nellie OHR researched Trump's kids for Fusion GPS. So the wife of the Justice Department official who worked for Fusion GPS during the 2016 campaign told Congress in 2018 that one of her tasks at the opposition research firm was to research President Donald Trump's children, including their business activities and travel. Nellie O'Hare, a former contractor for Fusion GPS, also told lawmakers during an October 19 deposition that she recalls that Christopher Steele gave her husband, Justice Department official Bruce O'Hare, materials from the infamous anti-Trump dossier funded by the Democrats. Now, O'Hare said that the testimony that Steele, who, like her, was a contractor for Fusion GPS, hoped that her husband would pass the material to the FBI. My understanding was that Christopher Steele was hoping that Bruce would put in a word with the FBI to follow up in some way. O'Hare testified to members of the House Oversight Committee and House Judicial Committees, according to transcripts confirmed by the Daily Caller News Foundation. O'Hare met with Steele and unidentified British associates on July 30th, 2016 at the Mayflower Hotel in Washington, D.C. And the more you look into this whole Steele dossier, Fusion GP and everything like that, it is a absolute, like, this is a silver bullet for the Democrats. If this general public ever found out about all this Fusion GPS and all this sort of crap, the Steele dossier and everything, they would have an absolute fit.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely disgusting. You literally have a ex-UK spy being funded or paid for by the Democrats to go through to get opposition research on Trump. Then when Trump won the election, that data was then given to the FBI. The FBI used that data to leaked it to the mainstream media, like Vox or BuzzFeed or whatever it was, so that they could then use the evidence that it was in the media to back up their claims so that they should, quote, look into it, and then went through and, from what I understood, has lied, misrepresented facts, omitted facts when it came to the FISA warrants on Trump, and basically spied on Trump for most of the presidency. Like, you know, when Trump turns around and says they had my office, they had my house and everything wiretapped, he's not wrong. They actually did. They did have it wiretapped. So, you know, like, yeah. But let's keep going. Dems won't strike, so help you God, from House Committee oath after outcry. So this is a bit of an update, the news that we covered, I think it was yesterday or the day before. The House Natural Resource Committee on Wednesday voted to keep "So Help You God" in the oath administered to witnesses testified before the panel the day after the Republicans denounced an appeal effort to strike the language. The draft of the new committee rules package, obtained exclusively by Fox News this week, indicated the committee planned to omit the phrase from the oath. Do you solemnly swear to affirm under penalty of law testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? But on Wednesday, the committee voted to keep "So Help You God" in the oath as part of the rules package, according to aides. It doesn't say here. Yes, one small step, I suppose. It doesn't actually say in here how many Democrats voted to keep it, how many voted to get rid of it. I imagine the Democrats were still trying to get rid of it, maybe lost the vote, from what I can read here. But yeah, just a bit of a small update on to something that we talked about yesterday. So it still will be in the oath that you take when swearing on the Bible. And the last story for the day, because this has gone for like, an hour and a half almost. Ariana Grande mocks... Yeah, Ariana Grande... You interrupted me and now I can't pronounce her name. God damn you. Ariana Grande mocked for misspelling Japanese tattoo. No, I don't care. That translates to... I don't care, alright? Don't care. She's going to change her name by default. That translates to charcoal grill. So, basically, the pop star, someone, deleted a post of a New Jersey Japanese tattoo from Instagram this week after fans pointed out that it translates to small charcoal grill not 7 rings as she intended. So Eliande Grande, I know I'm getting that wrong, let me know in the comment section below, has gotten the tattoo on her palm thinking it meant 7 rings, which is the title of her latest single. The text, however, translates to small charcoal grill. That's not entirely true. Basically what it is that she's got the tattoo, or she's got the sign for 7, and she got the tattoo for rings, which is because she wanted 7 rings, and she's put these signs together, right? And that's what she thought meant 7 rings. The problem is that when you combine the languages or the 2 tattoos together, it actually then becomes small charcoal grill. So her intention of getting the tattoo was sort of right. She looked up what these 2 words meant and then tried to combine them together. But at the end of the day, it does say small charcoal grill because of the fact she's joined these 2 tattoos together. It's like Japanese writing, for example. Now, obviously, the funny thing is that people on social media are absolutely flaming her. Like, she is getting trolled so hard over this. People are literally going through and uploading photos of fish that have been charcoal grilled, and they're adding her. People are going through, and some guy wrote barbecue grill on his palm to sort of mock her. People literally are trolling this to another level. But I have a theory about this. I think this whole thing is a publicity stunt. I don't think that's her hand. I think that is a fake hand.
Okay.
So I'm going to send you this image, and you tell me what you think when you look at that hand.
Oh well, okay. It could be fake because the fingers seem a bit bent. What's wrong with her fingers and her hand?
Well, yeah, I don't know. Maybe she finger blasted herself one time too many. I don't know, but I wasn't saying so much about the bent fingers. All right, maybe that's just for the hitting the right spot. But I was going to say, look at the actual fingers and the actual like the whole hand itself.
Yeah, it looks plasticky or
too
shiny or something.
Yeah. I'm thinking.
And the surface too. Like who puts their hand like that for a photo?
Well, no, yeah, I would say no. That'd be about right. Yeah, but you would think that you would actually go through, and your fingers, like if I was to put my hand out like that to take a photo, my fingers are naturally curved up, right? Like you're sort of catching a ball, sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like her fingers there look like they're like straight, like dead straight.
Yeah.
To me, I think this is a mannequin's hand. I don't think she got this tattoo. I think this is supposed to be a publicity stunt that's gone horribly. No. I think this is her advertising her new album.
Oh.
Do you really think that she would get a tattoo of her album on her fingers, on her hand?
No.
No, neither do I. So what I think has happened is that she's got a mannequin, a mannequin's hand, right? She's turned around, she's got the tattoo put on it. She's uploaded it to Instagram to sort of say, hey, look at me, hoping that people will talk about it because that would help advertise her album. But
she screwed it up.
It's backfired because it's literally said, well, charcoal grill. Small charcoal grill.
Yeah. So the funny thing about it is like,
which is kind of ironic
really
if you look at her skin tone. But anyway, what were you saying?
Yeah. I was just gonna say like people in Japan must be laughing their butts off, going,
"Oh yeah,
look at this silly Westerner girl. She doesn't know the language."
Yeah, well, she's actually South American, isn't she?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she's definitely like I think she's Latin. Latin?
I know, it's still right. Like they'd be laughing, going, "Silly American girl," you know.
Oh yeah. It's like and this is the thing that bugs me more. Okay, like if you're going to go through and you're going to get a tattoo, like say this tattoo is real, right? Say that she is stupid enough to go through and get the tattoo put on her, and she had no idea and everything like that, which I really don't believe. I think this is a publicity stunt, but let's just say it is really legit, right? Well, why are you getting a tattoo on yourself if you don't even speak the language?
Yeah.
She was born.
Oh
no, she was born in Florida.
I don't know.
She's born in Florida. She is American, sorry, yeah. Sorry.
And is it cultural appropriation too? For the
Well,
album?
you would think, wouldn't it? Makes sense.
Yeah.
Why aren't the left getting upset over her going on about that? Why is it not okay to talk about that? Why are people completely fine with But I bet you find over the next few days, because she's already deleted the Instagram post, over the next few days, I bet you it comes out that she never got the tattoo, that it was all fake.
Yep. Well, we'll cover that for sure.
Yeah, well, we'll keep you up to date, letting you know, obviously, if we're right or not. But I do admit, I do think it is absolutely funny that she is absolutely getting flamed over this. This is absolutely just hilarious. Whether it's fake or not, she still managed to screw up the tattoo, and yeah, it's still kind of funny, really. Because let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on any of the stories that we talked about today? Let us know what they are in the comment section below. I do read all the comments, so feel free to have a discussion, and obviously I'll respond. But yeah, apart from that, guys, Sat, you have anything to add before we wrap up today?
Nope, just take care, have a great day, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, so
probably I don't think I can make it tomorrow, so
that's fine.
I'll see you Monday instead.
Yeah, I'll be doing it tomorrow anyway, so I'll just do it solo. But guys, yeah, let me know what your thoughts are in that comment section below. Apart from that, guys, I might try and do it a little bit earlier tomorrow. I'm trying to do it at around 7 o'clock my time. I'm going to try and work out what the time zones are for the US and stuff like that. And I'll probably...
I wouldn't be able to make it ever at that time. It's got
yeah,
to be
well,
after 9 for me.
Okay, so normal 9 o'clock?
Yeah.
9:30 maybe? Yeah. We'll discuss about it. We'll put up a...
Yeah, 9:30. Yeah.
9:30, yeah. We'll discuss it. We'll talk about it today, and we'll put it up on Twitter or something like that. Apart from that, guys, obviously the video's been helpful. Please smack a like. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Apart from that, guys, I'll see you in the next demonetized video from YouTube. Have a great day, and enjoy.